Home is a small town in Texas about an hour outside of Houston, and I grew up 5 minutes from a state park with alligators and a lot of lakes, so I just grew up in nature. When I was 20, I was at Texas A&M, and my friend was walking across campus one day and she said, "Do you want to go to France this summer?" And I said, "Oh, I'd love to, but I don't have any money, and you know, I don't go to France. I have not left the US. She said, "Well, you should go talk to Ralph." So Ralph was the head of the department. As someone who understood how transformational a trip abroad could be, he changed my life. And that summer was, you know, you have like the best summer of your life, but that was the best summer of my life. And it was a summer of 23 of us on a bus with this big French man with a giant bull tattoo on his arm driving us around. And we went all over France. One time we stayed in a vacation village in southern France, and the family had a big soiree in their bar, and then it was just this exchange of music. Someone from the US would be playing the guitar, and it was a song that the French people knew, and I just thought, this is so cool. This is what the world is about. I left that program, went back to school, and I was supposed to graduate, but Ralph said, "How would you feel about going back for a full year?" I said, "I'd love it." He created a scholarship that I was able to use, and I went back to Normandy, and I was able to graduate a year later with a double major in French and English. After France, and I graduated, and I just couldn't go home because there was something in me that was saying, you'll be a failure if you go home because you're on this path now. You've got to keep doing more. So I went to Las Vegas, and it wasn't easy starting out in Las Vegas. There was some point where I really wanted to go home, but I thought, no, you don't go home. And I would just push myself. Stay on the journey. Then it was like, at what cost? You miss your family, you're missing all of these things. At what cost are you doing this journey? Las Vegas was a good run. It was 7 years. I had a love-hate relationship with it at first, but it wasn't all. It wasn't gonna be the end of me. I don't know how to just say, well, this is it, I'm done. Like, that's the end of it. No, you keep going. There's so much to see and do, even if it means my heart is hurting because I'm far from home. Vermont was adventure. I've never not worked with international students. International students have always been a huge part of my world. That's what's also helped this place feel like home. There are things I'll never be able to relate to that a student has gone through and vice versa, but I can just relate to the fact that we're all human beings and that sometimes things hurt. Sometimes things are gonna sit with us for a long time and we'll never fully be able to understand why they were that way. To help one another get by and get their feet firmly on the ground is important. Almost a month and a half ago, I was leaving to come to work. I walked out and there was a giant mama bear underneath the balcony. And she walked out from under the balcony and looked at me. She turned her head and looked at me, and I looked at her, and I went inside and I shut the door and I screamed like, "Bear!" And I've been waiting all my life to say bear. So I was like, "Bear, bear, Ramon, wake up, bear." And we ran out, and she was taking her slow time, walking back into the woods, and her 3 baby cubs were nearby. And I thought, it was like seeing a dinosaur, like seeing a fish walking around your yard. You know, you don't expect to see that. And I was always terrified of bears since the day I moved to Vermont. But it was just, I cried. And I thought, she's so majestic. She's just a creature. She's just a creature with her babies, you know. She's just trying to feed her babies. But I thought, that's it. I've seen the bear. It's time to go.